morning. What a gorgeous day. What beautiful people and beautiful spirits. We know more are coming. So let's go and stand up and open up our service with Unity on the Mountaintop. Y'all might know this one. Written by our own very own. Feel free to tap your toes, clap, whatever you gotta do. If Debbie was here, she'd be shaking that tambourine. Alright, you ready? Unity on the mountaintop. Unity. There you go, Maria. Yeah, come on up to the mountaintop. Come on up. Come on up. Show His presence and feel His love. Unity on the mountaintop. High. Unity, that's what we on the mountaintop. Yeah, yeah. Just one presence, love expressed in unity on the mountain. Come on up, we won't let you down on the mountaintop. Unity. Unity on the mountaintop. Unity. Yeah, come on up to the mountaintop. Come on up, come on up. Know His presence and feel His love. Unity on the mountaintop high. Unity, that's what we on the mountaintop. Yeah, yeah. Just one presence, love expressed in unity on the mountain. Come on up, we won't let you down on the mountaintop. Unity. Come on up, we won't let you down on the mountaintop. Unity. Go ahead and say good morning to your fellow neighbors. Shake a hand, say namaste. How are you doing? Maria, stand right there. I'm doing good. How are you doing? Good morning. Shake my hand right now. September babies in the house. We recognize no September birthdays in the not in the house, but we know people, we love people that have September birthdays that are here with us or transitioned on. So let us wish them all a happy birthday, these September babies. Ready? And many more. All right, we shall move on with the service.
Well, good morning, one and all.
Welcome
to Unity Church on the Mountain. And Rebecca, it's so wonderful to have you.
And travel the world.
Yes, yes. And Renee's lovely family. Each and every one of you. Welcome. Let us say together our opening statement. There is only one presence and one power in my life and in the universe. God the good. This is our Christ candle, which represents that sweet, divine inner essence within each and every one of us. Let us us affirm together our vision and mission statements. Centering God, we inspire spiritual transformation, creating a world of love, peace, and prosperity. We are an inclusive spiritual community, inspiring, awakening, and serving in love. The children's blessing. And oh my goodness, we actually have some children. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Also, besides these special children, let us remember the special children and babies in our lives. And today is my great-grandson's 5th birthday, Devin Wayne. And all the other children in the world. And let us not forget our inner child. Because we want to keep him or her very healthy and enjoying life. Let us say our children's blessing. We love you. We bless you. We behold the Christ in you. We accept you just the way you are. Walking in beauty, you are divine.
Well, let's go ahead and stand up and sing another song, Peace in Our Lifetime. She has great flowy, and I'll walk you through. Just listen to that all day, couldn't you? All right, here we go.
One life, one love, one peace in our lifetime, one life at a time. One truth, one world, one peace in our lifetime, one life at a time. One life, one love, one life at a time. One truth, one world, one life at a time. One voice, one choice, one peace in our lifetime, one life at a time. One prayer, one dream, one peace in our lifetime, one life at a time. One voice, one choice, one life at a time. One prayer, one dream, one life at a time. One life, one love, one peace in our lifetime, one life at a time. One truth, one world, one peace in our lifetime, one life at a time. To see.
Will we please bring the prayer box forward?
So this morning, each of you within your bulletin also has a prayer list. Next Thursday is our Unity World Day of Prayer, and you can either fill these prayer lists out now and leave them and put them in this box, or you can bring them back on Thursday evening Because all of these prayers will stay here for a while in the prayer energy that is here, and then they will go up to Unity Village into their prayer room, and they will stay there for 30 days. In that prayer room, there's somebody praying in that prayer room 24 hours a day. And I've had the experience of being in that prayer room. And let me tell you, just walking into it, if you don't believe in energy, you will when you step into that room, because it's a very physical healing. So knowing this whole healing energy, as we focus our thoughts and our intents, our prayers, asking that divine presence to heal what needs to be healed, not from our understanding of what that may be, but from that divine understanding. Let us let go of our ego attachment to the results of whatever situation, whatever is happening with the people within here. We open ourselves to divine power. We allow that power to move through us to support that process that is going on within these situations. We allow all the potentiality that is here for us, for these people, for these situations, and for this understanding. We give our grateful thanks, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you very much, Karen. And now, Lucy Roberts, president of our board, will read the daily word.
Today's daily word is faith. I place my faith in God and expect the best. Having faith is having joyous expectation. Placing my faith in God, I expect and accept positive outcomes. When I pray to successfully accomplish my goals, I receive clear direction. If I'm praying for healing, I expect to be healed. When I pray for a loved one, I place my faith in the presence and activity of God at work within them to bring forth their highest good. I release negative thoughts, worries, or fears, for they indicate my attention has drifted away from God. I redirect my expectations with positive outcomes in mind. Growing in spiritual understanding requires ongoing practice. It is a lifetime journey. So I step forward in faith with my mind and heart on God, secure in the knowledge that divine love is at work in me. Keep alert, stand firm in your faith, be courageous, be strong. 1 Corinthians 16:13.
Thank you, Lucy. Let us prepare ourselves now to say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. It is with great pleasure.
We're going to move deeper. You know, as we do the Lord's Prayer, it opens us. Those are familiar words that lead us into that place of connection. So take a deep breath. Allow. 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 This is what it's about, is allowing that divine energy that is the truth of who we are. Allow that energy to be in our consciousness. As we breathe in, we are inspired. Inspired. Feel that energy. As we breathe out, we let go. We release. We let go of whatever no longer serves us. We don't feel bad about having held on to old things. They did serve us. But now we let them go. We are willing. We make room. We make room for that divine light. As you breathe out, feel heaviness leaving. As you breathe in, feel lightness infusing. Lightness, love, joy, magnificence. Honoring the struggles that we have each made, the struggles that we are all still making, and the struggles that we will continue to make, the work in our lives. In this time of honoring the workplace, we honor the workplace within ourselves. Yes, Spirit. We are willing to do the work. We are willing to receive the fruits of this work. We are willing to give thanks and awareness to the source of our supply. That it is divine energy. That it is divine healing. That it is divine wholeness within us, blessing and moving us forward. And let us move into that silence in our soul, communing, making space as we allow our minds to relax and slow down, to allow that connection in the silence, in the deep silence. And as we move forward in this time of connection, let us honor those who are no longer with us, those who have gone through that door. And we're not sure what's on the other side, but we honor and support and love those who are on that journey. We honor and support all those who are not with us because they're out there journeying on this physical plane, and we love them and we hold them in light. And we honor those who are on journeys that we do not even understand. Spirit, be the light, be the love, be the wholeness, wherever that is needed. And let us, in our love and light, support the growth, support the light, support, the love, the joy, and the peace. And for this, we give our grateful thanks, and so it is. Amen.
I guess it's my turn. At least it's something. Thank you, Amy. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
What an honor to have been asked to speak today. You know, it was back in early July when Joyce contacted me and asked me if I would consider being a guest speaker. And I said yes. I had just come back from the Camino over in Spain for a walk, you know, and that was magical. And I got to tell you, during that time when I was in Spain, I had done a lot of work. I just went over being open to whatever God had for me. And what happened was I did a lot of work. I did a lot of forgiveness work. And so when she asked what my topic was, it was easy to say it'll be forgiveness. And I picked Labor Day weekend. I'm going to have a confession here, get this out of the way. I picked this weekend knowing that all of you would be out doing something. And I'm really happy to see you here, and some of you who did not have a choice about coming today. I love you. So if you would, let's start with a prayer. Loving God, we know that you are here with us right here, right now. Help me to stay open to your word. Help me to be your instrument. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing to you, O Lord, in my strength. Amen. So like I said, I'd just come back from Spain when Joyce asked me, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's forgiveness. I had that fresh on my mind. And I will tell you, since I said yes in July to today, I have had many opportunities to practice forgiveness. And I was thinking of it last night. I'm like, forgiveness fodder is everywhere. And it is. In the title, you know, Labor of Love, Forgiveness. It could as easily be a topic for the 4th of July. And that title, I would give it Forgiveness, Key to Freedom. Or for Christmas, give yourself the gift of forgiveness. You know, so when I thought of the labor of love, because for me, call it whatever, but it was work, you know, and work that was worthwhile and rewarding. Nevertheless, it was a labor from my experience with forgiveness. So this morning I'm going to talk a little about forgiveness, what it is not. I'll share a technique that I know to be useful. And lastly, I'll share my most profound experience with forgiveness. So what is it? What is forgiveness? You know, it's a natural process of letting go. Of letting go of any emotion and it will allow us and our lives to flow in harmony with life. You know, we get stuck energetically sometimes, and just the act of forgiveness will open up an experience for us to be able to experience greater unconditional love. Forgiveness is a universal spiritual practice that keeps us physically, emotionally, mentally, and energetically healthy. Charles Fillmore, in The Revealing Word, talks about forgiveness. He says, "It is through forgiveness that true spiritual healing is accomplished." Simply put, in my words, forgiveness equals freedom, peace of mind, and peace of heart. What forgiveness is not? Well, it's not forgetting. When you forgive someone, the memory is not suddenly wiped clean of the offense. It's not about regaining automatic trust, because you don't immediately trust the person who's harmed you when you forgive them. Trust is earned, and they must earn your trust again. Nor is it the removal of consequences. Even though you forgive someone, they may still have the consequences that they'll have to face. It's not ignoring the offense. You don't have to pretend that nothing happened when you forgive, because the reality is an offense was made. Acting like it never occurred only builds resentment and anger. It's also not emotional healing instantly. It's not an instant emotional healing, because emotions heal with time. There's some pain that runs very deep, and so it takes longer to heal. It's also not a leverage of power. Granting forgiveness does not give the person power over the person being forgiven. That would violate the entire principle and purpose of forgiveness. So why do we forgive? Why do this? Why do the work? Holding on to hurts. I found this story on the internet and I liked it. It's a good example of when we hold on to stuff or hurt. Imagine that you have a car that you've been driving around for a while and it's running a little bit sluggish. And so one day you take a friend for a ride with you and your friend looks over at you and says, "Why don't you take off the parking brake?" And you're like, "The parking brake?" And so he reaches over and pops the parking brake and your car just lurches forward and starts running just really smoothly. You're like, the engine's humming, you find yourself moving smoother and easier than you ever have before. Well, that's what it forgives like when you learn how to forgive. And we're running through life, with our parking brake on. Not all the way, just enough to move forward, but very, very sluggish. When you release and let go, you're freer, you'll have more energy. All of a sudden, you'll become more efficient. You'll become more productive, confident, and resourceful. You'll have more options. And you can enjoy your life more as you move forward. Now, if you've been badly hurt or betrayed, letting go of those hurtful feelings can be easier said than done. I know that. Even though you may realize logically, you get it in your head that releasing the hurt, by doing that, you're not condoning the person's behavior. It's still not always to do. But when you hold on to anger and resentment, the person that you hurt does not feel anything at all. You harbor the pain. And every time that memory is triggered, you relive the agony, and you just keep injuring yourself. Or said another way, that person gets to hurt you over and over again. You'll find that when you open your heart to forgiveness, it's like turning on a faucet of good feelings. An abundance of positive energy will begin to flow. In the past, there have been times when the only way that I could start forgiving, my forgiveness process, was to begin with a willingness to be willing. They say if you just be willing to be open to forgive. And I had to back it up one, to be willing to be willing. And I know that it works. It doesn't matter how many far back you remove from the actual willing. Just being open allows the process. God will do the rest. Rosemary Fillmore Ray, who is the granddaughter of Charles and Merle Fillmore, the founders of Unity Movement, she's also a Unity minister. She says that the answer, as far as forgiveness, that the answer lies within us, in that part of us which knows it is only through forgiveness that we can find freedom and wholeness. As long as we hold on to victim thinking, we are giving away our power to the kind of people and things that bind us to our painful yesterdays. The human part of us wants to get even, to make the other person suffer as we have suffered. We have all heard the expression, "I don't get mad, I get even." But it's this eye for an eye morality that's been the cause of so much human tragedy. Gandhi said that if everyone practiced an eye for an eye morality, soon the whole world would be blind. In the long run, revenge does not make us feel better. Instead, it fuels the never-ending cycle of retaliation. So forgiveness is the only way to heal ourselves and the world, is what Brady says. When Jesus asked Peter, "Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him?" We're most of us familiar with this. He asked, "As many as 7 times?" And Jesus said, "I do not say to you 7 times, but," what's the answer? That's right. 70 times 7, and that's from Matthew 18. Rosemary Fillmore Ray continues with, "The first step in freeing ourselves from our painful yesterdays is to forgive ourselves." It is difficult to forgive others when we are filled with self-condemnation and guilt. To forgive our past is to view our lives from a different perspective, from a perspective of love. When we look at ourselves through the eyes of love, we see that every experience, every person has been a part of our soul's unfoldment. Don't we all sometimes make unwise choices? Don't we all sometimes say or do things we wish we hadn't? The way we reacted to life yesterday is perhaps not the way we would choose to act today. However, each new day, each new moment is an opportunity to choose again. If we had a friend who had made some mistakes in the past but was living a good life today and doing right things, would we constantly be reminding that friend of his or her past behavior? Of course we wouldn't. So why do we do this to ourselves? Guilt binds, confines, and keeps us from a creative future. I'm going to say that again. Guilt binds, confines, and keeps us from a creative future. And now I want to share one of my favorite forgiveness stories, personal. My father and I had a bumpy relationship. I call it bumpy. We had years of really good and years that weren't so good. You see, he joined the Navy when he was just a boy. He lied about his age. He tricked his mother into signing the papers and left for the war when he was 16 years old. He went off and served, came home, he returned, and like a lot of World War II vets, never talked about what happened during the war. So as you can imagine, the horrors of the war haunted him. Not all the time. He and I had a pattern. Things were good, and then something would trigger him, and his anger or his rage would come out sideways. And I'd go away for a while, and then after a while, then enter back into the cycle again. The last time he did that, he raged, was when my mother was in the hospital and had just had open heart surgery, triple bypass surgery. And today I can look at that and I know that he was afraid. His fear it came out sideways. I ended up calling the hospital security and they escorted him out of the hospital. And as he was walking out, he said, "You'll regret this the rest of your life." But I knew that I needed to do that. The next morning, my mom was discharged. I took her home, and they live in Mississippi. And I drove back to Texas. I was living in Austin, Texas at the time. And this time it was different. This time I knew that I would not go back until his funeral. I got it at a level that I had never before. I got that he was not well, that he was sick, and that he wasn't going to get the help that he needed. So me holding on to wanting things to be different was not going to change anything. For the next 4 years, my visits consisted with my mother and my sister or drives halfway, and we would have a girls' weekend in a hotel, and my sister would drive my mom over, and we would visit and have a fun time. after about 4 years, let's say, fast forward, let me just pause there. I began my forgiveness work during those 4 years. I knew that I did not want to carry the bitterness that I had for my dad. Even though I wasn't going to see him, I was living with that all the time, holding on to, wanting him to be something that he couldn't be. I use what's most familiar for me, which is the big book of alcoholics, on page 552 of the 4th edition. There's a personal story in there that a gentleman writes, and I quote, "If you have a resentment you want to be free of, if you will pray for the person or thing that you resent, you will be free. If you will ask in prayer for everything you want for yourself to be given to them, you will be free. Ask for their health, their prosperity, their happiness, and you will be free. Even when you don't really want it for them, and your prayers are only words and you don't mean it, go ahead and do it anyways. Do it for every day for 2 weeks." You see, I could have get that. Give me the plan, an SOP, tell me how to operate here, and I can do it. So, yeah, do that for 2 weeks. And I continued. And you will find you have come to mean it and want it for them. And you will realize that where you used to feel bitterness and resentment and hatred, you now feel compassionate, understanding, and love. And I continue with the quote. "It worked for me then, and it has worked for me many times since. And it will work for me every time I am willing to work it. Sometimes I have to first ask for the willingness, but it always comes. And because it works for me, it will work for all of us. As another great man says, the only real freedom a human being can ever know is doing what you ought to do because you want to do it." So I set out on this. I had the plan. Pray for my father to have everything that I wanted for 2 weeks at a time. Well, just for 2 weeks, it says. But I never made it 2 weeks. I would always, consecutive days. Remember to do it 3 days, and then I'd forget, so I'd start my clock over. So that was part of my process, was just trying to remember and doing it as many days as I could. And we hear about the onion, the peeling of the onion, and that's exactly what was happening with me. I was doing the forgiveness work at the level I could, and then a layer, and then, just continued with that. I set reminders on my phone, I put sticky notes on the mirror, and I would pray, God, prayers for my father to have health, prosperity, happiness, peace of mind, God, and peace of heart, love and joy. Basically, that's what I wanted. And that's a magic formula. Because I don't know what happens, and I really don't have to know. I don't need to try to figure it out. But I think that I changed. I think I changed. So fast forward now, 4 years from the last raging fit, my father is at a point in his life where he's going through end-stage renal failure. And on Father's Day in 2012, he's not well at all, but he asked my sister to give me a call and asked me if I would come home. And he was on dialysis, and I agreed to go home at this point because I had done my work. And I walk into my parents' home, and my dad's sitting, and I go over to him, and I kneel to be eye to eye with him. And he holds out his hand to me, and he says, "Would you forgive me?" And I said, with no hesitation, it's a moment I'll never forget, with no hesitation, "I have forgiven you." He went on to tell me that while he was on dialysis, one of his sessions, that he had seen a bright white light, and that they told him he wasn't finished, that he still had to come back to do some work. And that was his work, was to ask me home and to forgive me, ask for my forgiveness. So without any hesitation and a big hug, he reached up his other hand to my mom and my sister that were in the room, and he called them over. And they joined our hug, and he says, I have my family back. You know, over the next week, he made a decision to stop dialysis consciously with all of us present and weighing the odds, the pros and cons. And he made the decision to stop that, knowing that what that meant, it was that he would die. I had the opportunity, today I see it as a big gift, to walk with him through that last week in his life and the process of him making his transition. What a gift. All because I said yes. I said yes. I didn't know it at the time, but you know, maybe it was a selfish, I don't want to hang on to this bitterness. I don't want this in my heart. So in closing, let me say, to use the famous Nike saying, you know what it is? What is it? Just do it. That's right, Emma. Just do it. Or be willing to just do it. And do it for yourself. Because for me, I think forgiveness equals freedom. And give yourself that gift, because forgiveness is a labor of love. Namaste.
Thank you for sharing. That was from your heart.
Yeah.
It's from the heart.
Outstanding.
Wow.
Yes, that's why there's a heart on the phone.
Don't know about y'all, but I shed a tear or two. We're going to go ahead and stand up and sing a happier song. Like a little bit of God. What if I know that? I want to share that. Peace be peace expressing in the world. Let's stand together. Let's take a new day. Let's lift up each other and find a new way. Tomorrow's upon us. Again, we never know these things against the top. So, what faith can do. Again, another appropriate song that I shall sing by a band called Compass. So, wow. What a day. Y'all feeling it? I'm feeling it. Ooh,
Yeah.
Man, God is present. God is present. Okay. Everybody falls sometimes. You gotta find the strength to rise from the ashes and make a new beginning. Anyone can feel the weight. You think it's more than you can take, but you're stronger, stronger than you know. Don't you give up now. The sun will soon be shining. You gotta face the clouds. Find the silver lining. Life's deep, dreams are blue, the mountains. Hope that doesn't ever end. Even when the sky is falling, mercy, miracles just happen. Silent prayers get answered. Broken hearts become brand new. That's what faith can do. It doesn't matter what you've heard. Impossible is just a word. It's just a reason for someone not to try. Everybody's scared to death. And they decide to take that step out on the water. You'll be alright. Life is so much more than what your eyes are seeing. You will find your way if you keep believing. I've seen dreams of the mountains. Hope it doesn't ever end. Even when the sky is falling, I've seen miracles just happen. Silent prayers get answered. Broken hearts become brand new. That's what faith can do. Overcome the odds when you don't have the chance. That's what faith can do. The little world says you can't. They will tell you that you can't. Dreams that move to mountains. Hope that doesn't never end. Even when the sky is falling, miracles just happen. Silent prayers get answered. Broken hearts become brand new. That's what faith can do. 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 Even if you fall sometimes, you will have the strength to rise.